My name's Sabrina Ramonov, and this is part 5 of my series Build SaaS with AI, where I'm going from idea to MVP using AI-driven coding. And in particular, I'm using Cursor AI with Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So in the last part, we added Firebase integration and also CRUD routes to be able to create, read, update, and delete prompts that belong to you user. And in this post, we're going to continue along the same vein. We're going to use Firebase authentication to create the whole user sign up, login, logout flow, and then also add a new screen called prompts, which shows all of a user's prompts. And it'll have a table where the user can create additional prompts, edit existing prompts, or delete prompts. As part of this, you will need to log into your Firebase console to create what's called Firestore, which is the Firebase database. And so just have that handy. And before we get started, I want to say thank you to some YouTube viewers who pointed out a new Cursor beta feature called Composer, which is supposed to be able to auto-generate new files that need to be created, which if you've seen my past videos, it's kind of been a pain point with Cursor AI. So to enable this, just go over here to Cursor settings, and then click beta. And then Composer, I've already enabled it here. And then these were the default options that were selected, so I didn't touch them. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is set up Firebase authentication. So to do that, go into your console.firebase.google.com, and then select your Firebase project. In my case, it's called Remix. I'm already dreading when I'm going to change the name of everything because I did an SEO search for Remix and there's just so many things called Remix. It's probably going to be hard to rank with that name, so I'm going to have to change the project name, get a new domain and everything. But anyway, so on the left sidebar, go to Build, Authentication, and then here click Get Started. So what we're doing here is using Firebase for authentication. And there's a bunch of different options. For now, I'm just going to use email password, allow users to sign up using their email address and password suites. You could also do this, but I think it requires an extra step. Yeah, so we're just not going to do that for now. But it's cool that Firebase handles it all. And then if you want to add a new provider, Google Auth, let's call this project Remix, and then my support email, and then just click save. Okay, so now we have two sign-in methods, email and password, kind of the traditional, and then Google sign-in. So now the next thing we want to do is actually build the whole authentication process, and that includes the sign-up screen, the login screen, possibly a button to log out as well. And so this here might look a really long prompt, but it's a lot of boilerplate that we've used in the past. So everything up here is kind of just stuff we've used in the past. I include it in every major prompt request just because I noticed if I include it in Cursor AI rules, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So here my rules for AI are pretty generic, and then for really important stuff, what libraries and frameworks we're using, standards we want to conform by, put it at the beginning of the major prompt request. I just copy pasted this from previous requests. If you're not keeping track of the prompts, you can always go up here to previous chats, and you can see all of the chats you've had with Cursor AI, and you can copy paste from there. And then here's the actual task, right? So it's actually pretty small when you break down this kind of large, intimidating looking spec. So your task is to create the sign up screen, login screen, and user authentication process. We're going to use Firebase authentication. So basically, if a user is not signed in, they should not see anything in the app, not the top bar, sidebar, any other screen, except for the sign up and login screens. Immediately after authenticating, the user should be redirected to the main page and see the create screen. And in the future, of course, you'll want to optimize that. You'll probably have an onboarding flow with videos explaining how everything works. But again, this is just a V1. And then I wanted to add a logout link at the bottom of the sidebar component just so I can test things. I just want to easily log out, try creating a new user, make sure each user has their own separate prompts. I just want that to make that super easy. And then when that logout button is clicked, obviously it should log out the current user. And then we append this at the end. I've used, some variation of this for every single major prompt. So here I'm saying, as an expert in Next.js and Firebase, since we're using Firebase authentication, ask me clarifying questions until you're confident you can complete the task. So I was looking over previous videos and past errors. Definitely use clients. That issue comes up a lot. Even though I say it here, right? Use client for components that require client-side side. Sometimes it still doesn't do it. So immediately after it gives me a bunch of code, I'll ask it to check the following things. Check use client, typo, check all import paths in files that have been edited or created, and fix any broken paths. This is kind of a holy grail. I don't think this one is very useful, but that's okay. We'll leave it in for now. Okay, and by the way, this is just my companion blog post that's going to accompany this video. So yeah, again, just want to emphasize, even though this looks really long, this paragraph here is really the only thing that's new. All this other stuff is kind of just boilerplate best practice that I want to make sure Cursor abides by these same things. Okay, so let's copy this. Okay, and let's chat with the entire code base. So do you have a Firebase project? Yes, yes. Simple sign up and login screens with modern UI. Form validation. All form fields are required. Yes. Reset password. Not right now. Don't want to implement Google sign-in yet. After logout, should the user be redirected to the login screen? After logout, redirect user to login screen. Show all error messages and success notifications to user. Okay, and then let's go ahead and chat with the entire code base. Okay, and here's the plan for implementing the authentication. So create a new file, app/components, auth provider.tsx. Okay, apply the changes. Create sign up and login screen. So it didn't indicate the path for the sign up and login screens. It did indicate a bunch of other things. So I'm gonna apply the other code changes first and then go back and ask it to clarify what files we should create, what should the file paths be, do I have to create any new directories or whatever. Let's just apply the rest of the changes first, and then I'll go back to number 2, update the, and you can click on this when it's blue. And also if it already has this here, then it's already going to be applied to that file. So you don't actually have to open the file. Okay, update, see here, page.tsx, okay, update layout, okay, well, actually here are the file paths, so I didn't even need to ask a follow-up question. So it's app/login, okay, and then the file is page.tsx, and then new folder is sign up, and the file is page.tsx. Let's go back to step number 2 to implement that. So create sign up and login screens. This is called sign up screen, so we're gonna do that here. That's weird, it didn't apply it to this screen, so I just closed the screen and I'm reopening it. So I don't know why it's not actually applying this change. That's kind of a weird cursor bug. So I'm just gonna copy it and paste it over here. And then this is the login screen, so it's over here. Yeah, I see some message, AI did not predict an origin file for this. I can't read the rest. So again, we'll just copy it and then paste it here. Let's test it out. All right, the use client thing. See, I forgot to do the follow-up. So that's why I did that, okay. So let's copy paste. I probably should limit the context to the files that were created. That would be better. It says all components that require client side already have use client. One potential issue in sidebar. In the layout component, we should import the sidebar. Yeah. Okay. So in both the login and sign up pages. So this one is for the login screen. It is linked to the login screen though, so if you actually click this, it already knows which file to change. Okay. Same here. So this will be the sign up page.tsx. That's a good idea. Add error handling and logging. So I just hope it doesn't break anything else though. That's the thing. Also add a state for error handling. Okay. And then add an error message. All right. And these changes improve error handling and provide better feedback to the user when content generation fails. Okay. So let's go back here. Let's try restarting this. And we're still getting this error, right? So it's probably something super simple. So let's copy this. So I'm trying to run but I see this error in terminal. And let's add context here. So it's Firebase provider.tsx, and it's trying to access layout.tsx. I'm just scanning the error message for any other files it actually mentions. Okay. So instead of chatting with the entire code base, I'm just going to click enter so it focuses on these two files as context. Okay, so update Firebase provider. Yeah, so, oh, okay, great. Hang on, update app layouts. And here are the main changes. So it added use client. So that's why I try to do that thing where I say check use client, but even that didn't really work, unfortunately. Export Firebase provider, blah, blah, blah. Okay, try running the app again. Seemed to get loaded since I just saw the screen. So first we need to sign up. So we don't even have an account. Test at AOL.com. Okay, great. Yes. Super weird, it just made everything black. Okay, so we have a problem here. Even though everything loaded, user authentication seemed to work, the top bar and sidebar disappeared. So I'm literally just gonna take a screenshot. And also, why did it turn black? Like, that's strange. The UI style turned dark theme. I want to always keep everything theme. Navigate. I don't see the top bar or sidebar components. Should be persistent in the app in the app after user is. And then let's mention them. So probably want layout, top bar, sidebar, whatever it's using for CS. Yeah, the create screen. Okay. So hit enter to feed in that context. Okay, globals.scss for step 1. Give me the full file with the edits so I can easily apply. Yeah, it kind of just told me what to do, but I wanted to just give me all the code. So update the root layout. Okay, here. Okay, applied that. Oh, here's a global. Okay, jeez, that was a bit scary. All right, so now we're in. Let's check the logout button. It just works. So if I click logout, okay, I'm redirected to log in. Should not be able to access the create screen. So here I'm redirected. So let me purposely put in the wrong password. Yep, so that's good. And then let me put in the correct password. Okay, perfect. All right, that's pretty much it for implementing the user authentication part of it. And again, we used Firebase authentication. I really have no idea why it just changed the UI from light to dark theme. A little alarming. Thankfully, we do all the styling and stuff at the end. That's my usual process anyway. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is create the prompts table. The workflow I'm envisioning for the first version and is I'll have my organized library of prompts, and then for each remix or repurposing flow, I want to choose the prompt that I want to choose a prompt for each platform. So I might have a set of prompts that work really well for LinkedIn, a set of prompts that work really well for Twitter. There might be some prompts that work well for multiple platforms. And so I kind of just want my organized library of prompts where I can create prompts, edit prompts, delete them, add a description on them, that kind of stuff. The next feature after implementing the table will be when I go to remix content, I paste in my original content, and then I want to select for Facebook, use this prompt, for Twitter, use this prompt. Okay, so before we do that, we need to create what's called a Firestore, and that's basically just your Firebase database. And by the way, Cursor AI can walk you through how to do this. Also, if you want more detail, then I'll have in my newsletter, just ask Cursor AI, how do I set up a Firestore? Let's go to build, and look for Firestore database, create database. Okay, secure rules. So I'm gonna start in production mode because I'm gonna forget to update it within 30 days. And I don't really know the details of Firestore rules. It's not something I'm super familiar with, so I'm actually just gonna ask Cursor. How would you update the Firebase Firestore rules so that users can create, edit, and delete prompts belonging to them? And it doesn't really need any context. Yeah, I don't know how to remove this file as context. It is not relevant at all. Okay, so here I'm just starting here to update the Firestore rules. So we need to ensure that only authenticated users can create prompts. Yes, users should be able to CRUD their own prompts. Yes. We'll assume there's a prompts collection where each document represents a prompt. Yes, and I think we did that in the previous video, yeah, when we created the CRUD routes for prompts. Each prompt document should have a user ID field. So here's the pseudocode for Firestore rules. Okay, allow update and delete, blah, blah, blah. Now let's implement these rules in the, yeah, this is the main thing I'm looking for. So I can copy paste here. I don't know if I can change this. Okay, I guess I'll create it first and then change it. Oh, sweet, and it actually tells you what to do. Click on the rules tab, replace the existing rules, and click publish. So handy. So here's the rules tab. Here's the current rules. And then I just copy and pasted it. And then, yeah, changes can take a minute to propagate, so just keep that in mind if you're testing. And now here's the next feature we want to implement. So again, this looks a lot, but all this stuff at the top is the same boilerplate that we used for implementing the authentication flow. This section really is what's new, what the spec is for this feature. And then down here, just before I ask Cursor AI to ask me clarifying questions, and then this is the context that I'm gonna feed in. So complete the following task. We want to create a new screen called prompts that has a table of all of your prompts, and you can create, update, and delete prompts as needed. And obviously you can only see the screen if you're logged in. I do want basic form validation, so you shouldn't be able to create a prompt that's empty or update a prompt and then it's empty. And then in the sidebar, we want a prompts link so we can go see the prompt screen. And then I just gave it an example, which is always a best practice. So if you want to follow the same kind of a directory structure or whatever best practice, just give it an example and feed it in as context. So I did that here. I just fed in the dashboard directory. And then when a new user signs up, I want them to have default prompts already that belong to them so that, they don't go to the prompts library and it's completely empty, so that they can just immediately start using the remix functionality without having to create new prompts. And then when the user goes to the prompt screen for the first time, they should actually see those 3 prompts in the table, be able to edit them and stuff. So that way they're not starting from scratch and don't know what to do. Okay, so we're gonna copy paste this. And let's start a new chat. And this is cool. It actually already auto-tagged most of these files except for auth. Yeah, let's do auth provider. I have the 3 Firebase files. Prompt service, remember from the last video, that's all our CRUD routes for prompts. Dashboard, I'm feeding in as example. Sidebar, because I wanted to add a link. And then the provider. Is there anything else related to that it should add? No, guess not. Okay. So let's do this, feed this in as context. I just hit enter instead of command enter. Okay, so then let's answer the questions to the best of our ability. So should the prompt screen be a new route under the app directory similar to the dashboard? Yes. Okay. For the table of prompts, what specific information should be displayed? Let's do, yes, title, contents, creation dates, updated ats. I forget if there's description. I forget, did we add that field? These are the fields in the collection of a prompt. So it has title, content, so it doesn't have a description, so we should probably add that later. So how should the create, update, and delete functionality be implemented? So for example, let's say I want to update an existing prompt. Should I be redirected to a separate page or as modals within the prompt screen? Modals within prompt screen. Okay, regarding form validation, yes, show all error messages. For the default prompts, should we add this functionality to the existing auth process or create a separate function to check add to existing authentication process? Specific design requirements and with a modern, clean UI. Sort of, yes, sorting and filtering. Do we need to add any additional error handling or loading states for the prompt screen? I don't think so. I think it'll load pretty quickly. I'll just say it's always good to include robust logging to help troubleshoot issues. Okay, then click enter. So we're gonna create a prompts page. So app/prompts, new file, page, tsx. Oops, let me change the name of that. Yeah. Oh, hang on. You can actually play this now. No, never mind. I'm actually not sure how I'm supposed to use Composer. I just started doing the default thing, so I don't know why it's not creating. Will this create it if I press prompt? Yeah, I don't think it's going to create it because it says apply to current files. So yeah, I need to look at the documentation for how to use Composer because I thought it would just create files for me. But that's okay, whatever. So create the prompts page. So this is the page. Oh, hang on. So before I do all this, I actually should have committed. Totally forgot. So we added Firebase Authentication. I just also committed all the prompt stuff, but these are all empty, so it's fine. I just want to create a saving point in case we need to roll back. Okay. So now let's go ahead and create the prompts. And yeah, it's just not working really well for these new files. So ended up copy pasting the file. Create the prompts table component. That's this one. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I updated Cursor right before this video and then enabled the Composer. And now it's just not applying these changes to the file, to the new files. Yeah, I'm literally just copy pasting them. Create prompt modal. Okay. Update prompt modal. Updated. The delete prompt modal. Create the use prompts hook. For step 6, specify the file name and file path for the use prompts hook. App/hooks/use prompts. Okay, that time it worked in a new file. Do you need to implement anything else before I start testing this new feature? Okay, a few more things. So update the sidebar components. So add the following code. Okay, in the sidebar. Modify the auth process to create default prompts for new users. Yeah, update the sign up function in your auth service. I don't know why it's guessing where it is though. App/services. Oh, I don't have an auth service. So let's say I don't service TS file. Update your answer starting. Let's say analyze my base structure and files, then update your. So here I'm going to feed in the entire code base just to make sure it picks up whatever files it needs to. I don't know which file I should update for step 2 be explicit. I really just wanted to tell me which file should I update, so I'm kind of confused why it's not doing that. Okay, update the app/sign up. Okay, I'm there. Add the import for at the top of the file. Okay, then update the handles sign up function. Okay, let's test that out. npm run dev, open the console log, and then what I want to do is log out. And then I actually want to try creating a new account. Ooh, we're getting a warning here. Yeah, attempted import, that sounds important. Okay. Trying to test, but I see this error in terminal and console log. Okay, so go to this part, add the export. The imports and exports are pretty painful. If anyone has tips on how to do that better, I would happily include that in my newsletter. Okay, so let's refresh, go to the sign up page, do test 2. Okay, sign up, then go to prompts. Okay, so now here's the fun part. Oh, it tried to navigate to this page, and this was the error message. Okay. When I navigate to dash page, I see the following error message in terminal and okay. Let's specify the context. I'm trying to go to /page, and then can't resolve update prompt modal table. Can't resolve prompts table, create prompt modal, update prompt modal, and delete. Okay, yeah, I remember when I made that typo. I thought I changed it though. Files currently named. Ooh, I forgot the TSX. Oh no. Okay, well, that was a human error. Okay, is there anything else? So now I'm refreshing. Okay, good. So at least it's not their error. Now it's a Firebase error, so failed to fetch prompts. This is usually because it requires an index. Actually, it literally tells you here, but let's just suppose we don't know what this means. So let's go here, say, okay, that fix worked to Firebase because it literally says Firebase error. So here, and the fix for this is you actually just go to your Firebase console and create an index so that query can run. Beautiful thing again with AI is it's going to explain all that. So if this is your first time with Firebase or first time using Firestore, it's going to explain what does this mean, what is required. So Firestore requires an index for certain types of queries, especially when you're combining filtering and ordering. Remember when I sneakily increased the spec? Sure, let's add filtering and sorting, why not? So this is what happens. In this case, I was a little greedy there, but I really do want filtering and sorting. So okay, let's go do it. Click on the link provided in the error message. So let's go do that. And then you basically create a new index. After creating the index, Firebase will take some time to build it. I think it can take a couple minutes. Okay. So here I clicked the link that came up in the console log error, and it already recommends what the index should be. So I'm just gonna hit save and we'll start with that. And just keep in mind this does take several minutes. It's done. So let's go back to our app and see if it can fetch the prompts. Oh, okay, sweet. So I just refreshed the page and now you can see, so I think I'm logged in as test2aol.com, and these are the 3 prompts that were created as default. And you can actually check the data. So here, if you go to Cloud Firestore data tab, you can see the terminology is a collection of prompts, and then each prompt is represented as a document. So this is one prompt: craft a concise and attention-grabbing tweet that conveys blah, blah, blah. Here's the title, and then here's the user ID that this prompt corresponds to. Because remember, when we implemented Firebase Authentication, I used test@aol.com. We just implemented functionality where when a new user signs up, it creates 3 default prompts assigned to that user. So we only created one user, which is test1@aol.com. Okay, so yeah, that's working as expected. Now let's see, can I create a new prompt? Let's call it bullet points. Create a 5 bullet point list summarizing the inputs, something simple. So create, okay, it's here. Can I edit it? Can I say 7 bullet point list? Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is log out, back in, and just make sure it's still there. I mean, it should be. Okay, there, create a 7. So we create a new prompt, edit it, and I'm sure this deletes it as well. So that wraps up the prompts table. And this is gonna be really powerful because I know prompt organization is actually a really big pain point. People are kind of hacking together Google Sheets or Google Doc or Notion. In my case, I have a GitHub repo containing prompts. It's kind of all over the place. And so part of my vision for this is it helps you organize the prompts that you're actually going to use and that you've significantly fine-tuned and improved specifically for content creation and content repurposing. What you're going to see too eventually as we add analytics in V100, you'll be able to see analytics by the post, what the original content was, what prompt was used in the repurposing. There's a lot of room in that roadmap for many cool things you could do, but I'm trying to just launch a version 1 right now. The next feature we want to implement, and probably the last thing I'll close out this video on, is selecting the prompt for each platform. So now we have our library of prompts where we can create, edit, and delete prompts. Now, when I go to repurpose content, I want to choose the prompt that I want to use for each platform because I probably will want to use a different prompt for Facebook versus LinkedIn versus Twitter. So again, all this stuff in the beginning is our boilerplates up here, and the actual spec is over here. So basically I want to update the create screen in the section over here where it says select platforms. So in that section, select platforms, insert a drop-down selector so that the user must select a prompt for each platform selected. It's kind of a mouthful. Then I want to position the platform checkbox right here horizontally next to the prompt drop-down selector. Another way to do this, if this wording is confusing, you could probably draw a little mock-up and feed it in as an image. That's another approach. I just tend to be very word-oriented, so if I had a preference between the two, I'd rather describe it in words because I'm not actually very visually oriented. And then each user should have the 3 prompts that were created when they signed up. And then prompts are not specific to a platform, so users can select any prompt to use for any platform. So for example, I can easily imagine one prompt being used for both LinkedIn and Facebook, but it would be hard to imagine that same prompt being used for Twitter. But the point is that the prompt itself is not platform specific. You can choose any prompts you want for any platform. If a user selected 2 platforms, let's say Facebook and Twitter, then you need to use one prompt. Then you need to select one prompt for Facebook and one prompt for Twitter. The user does not need to select a prompt for LinkedIn because the user did not select it as a platform. I don't know if it was necessary to say all this, but I just wanted to be super clear. And then I also wanted to remove this edit prompt button since we don't need that anymore. Okay, and then as usual here, I just removed the act as an expert in Firebase. Here I just said act as an expert in Next.js and ask me clarifying questions. So let's go ahead and copy that. Create a new chat, and then let's add in the auth related file. So auth provider, sync through any file. So prompt service, that's the CRUD route. So you'll need to get all of the user's prompts to populate the dropdown. The create, I just fed in the whole directory. Content generator, where it's going to generate the content. Then auth provider. Let's feed in the hook use prompts too, just in case. Let's use that. Okay, and then feed this in as context, hit enter instead of command enter. Oh, and before I answer its questions, I almost always forget to commit. So we added prompts screen and prompts table. Okay, great. So let's answer the questions as best as we can. Should the drop-down selector for prompts be populated with all the users' prompts? Yes, all the users' prompts. Do we need to modify the use prompts hook or the prompt service to fetch all prompts? Or up to you. Should we update the handle generated content to use the selected Yes. Use the selected prompts for each platform. Do we need to add any new state variables? So I'll say up to you. Should we add any validation? Yes. A prompt must be selected for each chosen platform before allowing content generation. 6. Are there any specific styling requirements? Just make it look good, clean, and modern. 7. Do we need to update any types or interfaces to accommodate the changes in the component state or prompt? To you. Should we add any new error handling or user feedback? Yes. Yes, show user feedback so that users know they need to select a prompt if they've selected a platform. Okay. So update the use prompts hook. Oh, we don't need to, then it said we don't need to modify this file because it already fetches all the prompts. Okay. So content generator, click apply, accepts. Oh, okay. So this updated content generator component includes drop-down selectors, state management, validation, and then using the selected prompts and adding user feedback from prompt selection with a simple alert. Okay, let's try it out. It's probably gonna be a bug, and that's okay. Okay, content repurposer. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually open one of my blog posts. So yesterday I launched a TikTok playbook, basically consolidating everything I've learned, growing to 100,000 followers in 60 days. I'm just gonna copy paste the initial portion, not the whole thing. Okay, so copy paste here. This is the original content. Select these two. Okay. Let's say for Facebook, I want my bullet points, which is the new prompt we created and then edited. And then let's just use this Twitter tweet prompt. It's kind of a weird styling. It's hard to tell it's a drop down. There's just a caret here. I'm not super concerned with styling until the very end. Okay. Wow. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, so you can tell this is a bullet point list and it is a summary of my blog post, just eyeballing it here. And then this one used the Twitter tweet, which is great. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, the feature that we wanted to implement. We just wanted to be able to manage our prompts in our prompts library over here. And then in the create screen, that's where we can choose the prompts we want to use for each repurposing flow. And then also what I envision is saving this as a default, right? Let's say you want to repurpose a specific type of YouTube video. It's a technical step-by-step tutorial. For that kind of video, you might have one set of prompts for each of these platforms versus a YouTube video that's about breaking trending news that might use a different set of prompts for each platform versus repurposing a tweet thread that could potentially use a different set of prompts for each platform. And so I envision you being able to kind of save these presets. So depending on the type of content you want to repurpose, apply this presets of prompts for each platform. So yeah, just for good measure, let's try it again with a different set of prompts. I do wonder, if I copy paste the whole thing, make it a little bigger, not do that. So let's say for LinkedIn, I want to use my LinkedIn article, and then here I want to do Facebook post. So here I actually copy pasted my entire blog post, and let's click generate content. Okay, and here's the final content. That took a little bit longer because the blog post itself is pretty long. It's 4,000 words or something. So here, this is the LinkedIn post. I think it's Markdown. Embrace the learning curve, prioritize content quality over sensationalism, find your niche. This is definitely a pretty accurate recap of my newsletter, which is great. And then here's the Facebook post. And for the Facebook post, I'm just kind of using the default Facebook prompt that ChatGPT created with absolutely no input from us. Too many emojis, but still not bad. This is actually pretty good for a Facebook post because I used to help my cousin run Facebook ads for their digital marketing agency, and if you ignore all of the emojis, this is actually a pretty solid format that is recommended for a Facebook ad post, for example. This is a weak hook, but still it's your hook, and then kind of a promise related to your hook, and then bullet point list, and then just a reminder, I did it all without blah, 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 and then drill it home. Here's the CTA. Trying to encourage engagement. This part at the end I'd probably remove, but yeah, no, this actually does follow a bunch of Facebook post best practices. Just a little cheesy with all the emojis and stuff, so I would tweak that. But it's a great start. So our MVP is really starting to shape up. Basically, you can paste text here to platforms you want to repurpose it to, select the prompt you want to use for each platform, And then in one click, it'll generate all this content, edit it inline here, add your unique point of view, your perspective, your value add, and then you can copy paste this directly into LinkedIn or Facebook, or if you have a social media scheduler buffer, then you would copy paste it into there. So the app is definitely starting to shape up. Some of the next things we want to do are probably connect the social media accounts, generate images as well if you want to do a Facebook post with images or a LinkedIn post with images. We'll also want to think about, here we have this edit prompt button to regenerate the output in one click, and I'm guessing it doesn't work anymore since in a previous prompt we said to remove the edit prompt button. What should it do? So should you edit this prompt, regenerate it? Should that overwrite the existing prompt? Should you save it as a new prompt? Those are the kinds of details we'll want to think through. Connecting your social media accounts, adding more social platforms, adding image and potentially video generation, and also just optimizing the UI. I don't love I have to scroll all the way down. I might switch it to a 2-column layout where I see the original content on the left and then the generated content on the right, that kind of thing. But this is getting kind of to the fun part now that we've put a lot of infrastructure in place and you've learned how to set up Firebase, effectively creates a new feature, how to interact with Cursor AI to fix things. So now we're getting to the fun part of playing around with the MVP and seeing what feels good, what's the user experience that we want, what are additional things we want to add that would really, really help streamline this process for someone who doesn't want to spend hours putting together Zapier or Make.com automations. So yeah, hope this video is helpful. Hope this series is helpful. My name's Sabrina Ramonov. Hit follow, drop a comment below, subscribe to my channel.